The atmosphere on the Kelly Clarkson Show started off as cheerful as always, with the band playing and Kelly greeting the crowd with her trademark warmth. Adam Lambert, the guest for the day, entered to thunderous applause. Known for his powerful voice and charismatic presence, Adam smiled and waved to the audience. But beneath his polished demeanor, there was a hint of tension. Something about the setup, or perhaps a topic planned for discussion, already had him uneasy before the cameras started rolling. Kelly welcomed Adam with enthusiasm, reminiscing about their time on American Idol and praising his growth as an artist. Adam thanked her politely, but his smile seemed tight. The conversation began smoothly, with light jokes and friendly banter, but soon the tone shifted when Kelly brought up his recent comments about the music industry. Adam had been outspoken about artists being silenced creatively, and the subject was clearly something he felt strongly about, perhaps too strongly for daytime television comfort. Kelly tried to steer the conversation into relatable territory, mentioning how both had faced challenges balancing artistic freedom with commercial expectations. However, when she suggested that compromise was sometimes necessary, Adam interrupted, his tone sharper than before. "Compromise is just another word for control," he said. The audience let out a small gasp, sensing the tension. Kelly blinked in surprise but kept her composure, responding with her usual grace, saying that collaboration was different from control. The energy in the studio shifted noticeably. Kelly's attempt to lighten the moment by joking about creative differences backfired. Adam leaned forward, eyes intense, and said that most mainstream artists were forced to play safe to stay relevant. "You know that better than anyone," he added, his words landing heavier than intended. Kelly froze for a split second before laughing awkwardly. The audience looked back and forth between them, unsure if this was part of a planned exchange or something going off script. Trying to defuse the moment, Kelly asked about Adam's upcoming tour, but Adam, still visibly irritated, said, "Let's not just change the subject when things get uncomfortable." The remark caught everyone off guard. Kelly's smile faltered slightly, and she replied that she wasn't trying to avoid the topic. "We just have limited time, you know," she said gently. Adam shrugged, leaning back in his chair, exuding an air of frustration that filled the entire stage. The audience, sensing something real unfolding, grew silent. Kelly tried again, saying she respected his honesty and admired his courage for speaking his mind. But Adam wasn't done. He went on about how talk shows often reduce deep conversations into digestible clips. His voice carried conviction, but it came off as confrontational. Kelly's body language stiffened. She crossed her legs and clasped her hands, signaling her discomfort. Yet she stayed polite, reminding him that the show was about positivity and connection. Adam's tone softened slightly, but his words still stung. He admitted he felt tired of being told to tone it down for mainstream audiences. Kelly nodded empathetically, saying she understood that frustration. But when she mentioned that being relatable wasn't always a bad thing, Adam laughed dryly. "Relatable or marketable?" he quipped. The tension returned instantly. Kelly's fans in the audience began murmuring, unsure how to react to the sudden bite in his words. Producers behind the cameras began signaling to Kelly to move things along. She smiled tightly and attempted to segue into a lighter question about Adam's fashion choices on tour. But Adam shook his head. "I don't want to talk about my outfits," he said bluntly. The abruptness made the audience gasp again. Kelly blinked and chuckled. "Well, that's usually a fun topic," Adam replied. "It's only fun when I'm not being told who to be." The silence that followed was heavy and uncomfortable. At this point, Kelly's professionalism was being tested. She tried to reassert control of the interview, saying they wanted to celebrate his artistry. But Adam's frustration boiled over. "You can't celebrate authenticity while censoring the truth," he said firmly. Kelly's eyebrows lifted slightly, realizing the conversation was spiraling. The band members exchanged uneasy glances, and producers could be seen whispering to each other offstage, possibly debating whether to cut to a commercial break. Kelly, ever the peacemaker, offered him the floor, saying, "Tell us what you really want people to understand." It was a kind gesture, but Adam's response carried edge. "That real art doesn't need approval," he declared, his voice echoing in the quiet studio. The crowd gave a nervous cheer, sensing the drama. Kelly nodded, replying, "I agree, but you're on a show that reaches millions, so words matter." Adam shot back, "Exactly why I have to use them carefully." The exchange felt less like a conversation and more like a duel of ideals. Things reached a tipping point when Kelly mentioned that fame came with responsibility. Adam tilted his head and said, "Responsibility to whom?" "The sponsors, the network." Kelly's smile vanished briefly before she caught herself. "To your fans," she said softly. "To the people who look up to you." Adam leaned forward, eyes narrowing, and replied, "Maybe they'd rather see honesty than rehearsed kindness." The air in the room turned electric. Every audience member could feel the friction. A producer whispered something to Kelly from behind the cameras. She nodded subtly and announced they'd be heading to a quick break soon. But Adam wasn't ready to drop it. "It's funny how breaks always come right when things get too real," he said with a smirk. The audience let out a nervous laugh, unsure whether to cheer or stay quiet. Kelly chuckled, trying to mask her irritation, saying, "Sometimes we just need a moment to breathe." Adam replied, "Some of us have been holding our breath for years." When the cameras briefly stopped rolling, tension backstage became palpable. Adam stood up, pacing near his seat, while crew members tried to calm him down. Kelly took a sip of water, visibly exhaling. As the break ended, she looked at him kindly and said, "Let's start fresh." Adam nodded reluctantly and sat back down. For a moment, it seemed like things might return to normal, but the damage had already been done. The audience sensed the awkwardness still simmering beneath the surface. Kelly resumed with a soft tone, asking about Adam's creative journey after Idol. He answered curtly at first, then launched into how fame had both elevated and trapped him. His words were raw and poetic, but laced with bitterness. Kelly tried to compliment his resilience, but Adam took it as pity. "I don't need sympathy, Kelly," he said sharply. "I need understanding." Kelly frowned slightly, replying that she was just trying to connect. "Connection isn't scripted," he muttered under his breath. The audience was now completely silent, the usual laughter and applause gone. Kelly tried to redirect by introducing a short clip from Adam's tour, but even that didn't ease the tension. Adam looked away during the footage, arms crossed, visibly detached. When the clip ended, Kelly smiled and said, "That performance was incredible." Adam glanced at her and said flatly, "That's one of the few times I was allowed to do it my way." The jab landed hard, making the air thick with discomfort again. Kelly took a deep breath, visibly trying to stay composed. "You're such a passionate artist," she said, her voice steady. "But sometimes passion can come off as anger." Adam tilted his head. "Maybe anger is just passion that's been ignored for too long," he said quietly, yet firmly. The crowd murmured softly. Kelly nodded, saying she respected his truth, but the glint in her eyes showed she was holding back her own frustration. It was clear that this interview had gone far beyond normal talk show territory. At this point, social media producers backstage were already drafting clips for what would surely trend within hours. The tension was undeniable, the moment unforgettable. Kelly, determined to regain balance, suggested they perform a duet to end on a positive note. Adam hesitated, then said coldly, "I'm not sure we're in harmony today." The audience gasped again. Kelly forced a laugh, but her eyes betrayed exhaustion. "Maybe we can find the harmony," she said softly, but Adam simply looked away. Kelly's band prepared for a closing segment, but Adam stood up suddenly. "You know what?" he said, voice firm. "I think I'm done here." The audience froze, unsure if this was a joke. Kelly's eyes widened slightly. "Adam, wait, are you?" Before she could finish, he shook his head. "I came here to talk about truth, not to polish sound bites." He turned toward the audience and gave a small nod, as if thanking them. The gasps and murmurs filled the studio as the cameras continued rolling. Kelly quickly tried to salvage the moment. "Adam, we can continue off camera," she said, still smiling despite the awkwardness. But Adam replied, "That's what everyone says when the cameras are watching." He gave her a polite but distant look, then started walking off stage. The crew didn't know whether to cut to commercial or follow him. Kelly remained seated, stunned but calm, showing her professionalism even as the situation unraveled in real time. The audience broke into awkward applause, unsure how else to respond. Kelly stood, placing a hand over her chest, and said softly, "We love Adam, and we wish him the best." Her voice was steady, but there was an unmistakable sadness behind it. As the band began to play transition music, Adam disappeared backstage. Producers quickly switched to an emergency filler segment, while Kelly regained her composure and addressed the audience with a warm, practiced smile. Behind the scenes, the mood was chaotic. Adam was seen pacing the hallway, talking heatedly with his publicist. Crew members avoided eye contact, knowing emotions were still high. Kelly eventually went backstage during a later break, hoping to clear the air. According to witnesses, she approached Adam with calm sincerity. "I didn't mean to upset you," she reportedly said. Adam sighed, rubbing his forehead, replying, "It's not about you, Kelly. It's about the system we all get caught in." Kelly nodded, understanding that his frustration ran deeper than the show. She offered a handshake, but Adam simply gave a small nod before leaving the set entirely. Word spread quickly among staff that he had left the building. Kelly returned to finish filming with remarkable grace, even joking lightly to the audience, "Well, live TV keeps you on your toes, right?" The audience laughed, but the tension lingered. Everyone knew something real and unplanned had just taken place. Within an hour, clips from the incident began circulating online. Hashtags like #Adam Lambert storms off and #Kelly Clarkson Show trended across social media. Fans were divided. Some praised Adam for speaking his truth, others criticized him for being disrespectful. Kelly's loyal supporters defended her composure, saying she handled the moment with professionalism and kindness. Media outlets began crafting headlines that amplified the drama, fueling the controversy even further. By evening, both Kelly and Adam's teams released brief statements. Kelly's rep said she had great respect for Adam and his artistry and that live television sometimes brings passionate moments. Adam's statement was more cryptic, mentioning that truth isn't always comfortable, but it's necessary. The contrast between the two responses only deepened speculation. Talk show pundits began analyzing every line of the interview, while fans replayed clips frame by frame to interpret their expressions. The next day, entertainment news outlets ran the story non-stop. Commentators debated who was in the right. Some claimed Kelly provoked him unintentionally, while others argued that Adam's ego got the better of him. Regardless of opinion, everyone agreed on one thing: it was one of the most dramatic talk show moments in years. Even rival programs began referencing it, using the viral clip as an example of how authenticity can collide with showbiz polish on live TV. Meanwhile, Kelly carried on with her usual charm in the following episode, subtly addressing the incident by saying, "Sometimes people have bad days. It's part of being human." Her audience applauded, admiring her grace. Adam, on the other hand, stayed quiet publicly, though insiders hinted he regretted how things unfolded. Yet, he also reportedly stood by his words, believing they sparked an important conversation about honesty in entertainment and the pressure artists face. In the weeks that followed, interviews and think pieces continued to dissect the clash. Experts in media psychology discussed how authenticity can clash with expectations of politeness on television. Kelly's ratings temporarily spiked, while Adam's name dominated music blogs. Both benefited in publicity, even if unintentionally. Eventually, time softened the incident's sharp edges, transforming it from scandal to cultural talking point. Yet, for those who witnessed it live, the tension remained unforgettable. Months later, during another interview, Kelly mentioned the incident indirectly, saying she respected anyone brave enough to speak their truth, even if it gets messy. Many took that as a subtle nod to Adam. Around the same time, Adam spoke in a podcast, acknowledging he might have been too blunt. "I wasn't mad at Kelly," he said. "I was mad at the machine." His words shifted the public narrative, painting the clash as a symptom of industry fatigue rather than personal animosity. Eventually, fans began calling for reconciliation. Social media campaigns urged both stars to reunite for a duet to heal the vibes. Though neither confirmed any plans, they followed each other again on social media, a silent gesture that gave fans hope. Industry insiders hinted that bridges hadn't been burned entirely, and that mutual respect remained. The story, once explosive, began to fade into showbiz lore. Another reminder of how easily passion and pressure can collide in the public eye. In the end, what could have been just another celebrity interview turned into a moment of raw human conflict. Adam Lambert's walkout wasn't just about frustration, it symbolized an artist's struggle between authenticity and expectation. Kelly Clarkson's poise represented the professionalism required to weather such storms. Together, they created a television moment that will be replayed for years, not for its glamour, but for its honesty. And perhaps, in that tension, both found a truth that audiences rarely see lived. Weeks after the dramatic walkout, both Adam Lambert and Kelly Clarkson found themselves at the center of relentless media speculation. Talk show commentators replayed the clip endlessly, analyzing every glance, pause, and sigh. For Adam, the incident became a symbol of rebellion against the entertainment system. For Kelly, it was a test of her composure and empathy. Despite the uproar, neither seemed eager to capitalize on the moment, choosing silence over spectacle is something rare in today's viral-driven culture. Behind the scenes, industry insiders claim that both teams were carefully navigating damage control. Kelly's producers wanted to ensure her show's reputation for positivity stayed intact, while Adam's management aimed to frame his outburst as artistic conviction rather than arrogance. A quiet tension lingered between both camps, though mutual respect kept things civil. Rumors circulated that network executives wanted a follow-up appearance to clear the air, but Adam reportedly refused at the time, saying he needed space to breathe again. Meanwhile, fans took matters into their own hands. Some flooded social media with messages of support for Kelly's grace under pressure, while others rallied behind Adam, arguing that his frustration reflected the truth about celebrity culture. Memes, edits, and remixes of the infamous clip spread across TikTok and YouTube. Hashtags like #SpeakYourTruthAdam and #KellyKeepsItClassy trended simultaneously, creating a strange digital debate where both sides defended their favorite star with equal passion and intensity. Kelly, known for her authenticity, decided not to directly address the feud again. Instead, she subtly reflected her emotions through her music. During a live show, she performed a stripped-down version of her song Stronger, introducing it by saying, "Sometimes you go through uncomfortable moments that remind you what strength really means." The audience erupted in applause, many interpreting her words as a quiet reference to the Adam incident. She didn't confirm it, but her smile said enough. Adam, on the other hand, poured his emotions into his art. During a later concert in Los Angeles, he paused mid-set to speak about artistic integrity. "Sometimes," he told the crowd, "being honest makes people uncomfortably, but that's how change starts." The fans cheered wildly. Though he never mentioned Kelly by name, the crowd knew exactly what he meant. That speech went viral, reigniting the debate but also shifting public sentiment toward understanding rather than outrage. Months later, both stars were invited to attend the same charity gala in New York. Producers were nervous about the possibility of tension, but those fears proved unnecessary. When Kelly arrived, Adam was already mingling with guests. Their eyes met across the room, and for a brief second, the noise seemed to fade. Kelly smiled warmly. Adam nodded back, a silent acknowledgement of mutual respect. Cameras caught the subtle exchange, and headlines the next day called it a moment of grace. As fate would have it, both were later seated at the same table. At first, the conversation was polite but cautious. Then, as the evening went on, laughter slowly returned. They reminisced about their early Idol days, about the whirlwind of fame that had shaped them. Kelly admitted she'd felt hurt after the show but understood where he was coming from. Adam sighed, saying he wished he'd expressed himself differently. "You didn't deserve that energy," he told her quietly. Kelly smiled, replying, "It's all part of the story." After the gala, word of their reconciliation spread quickly. Fans were ecstatic to see photos of them smiling together. For the first time since the incident, both artists posted about the same event. Adam shared a picture captioned, "Growth feels better than pride," while Kelly wrote, "Always room for respect and understanding." The posts broke the internet, with fans flooding the comments in celebration. What began as a public clash had devolved into a lesson in humility and forgiveness. Not long after, Kelly's producers reached out with the bold idea, invite Adam back to the show, not to revisit the drama, but to demonstrate unity. Initially hesitant, Adam eventually agreed, saying he wanted to rewrite the narrative. When the announcement was made, social media exploded with anticipation. The episode was marketed simply as a conversation about second chances. Audiences knew they were about to witness something special, a genuine full-circle moment between two powerful voices. When the day arrived, the studio was electric. Kelly greeted Adam with a hug as the audience cheered louder than ever. This time, the energy was light-hearted and mutual. They laughed about how Twitter nearly broke after their first encounter. Kelly joked, "At least we made history, right?" Adam grinned, replying, "The dramatic kind." The crowd laughed. The tension long gone, what once divided them now brought them together, a shared understanding of how truth and emotion can sometimes collide in unexpected ways. Throughout the segment, they spoke candidly about their earlier misunderstanding. Adam admitted that his emotions had been heightened by exhaustion and frustration with industry politics. Kelly acknowledged that she might have unintentionally minimized his feelings during the interview. Their honesty resonated deeply with viewers, turning a once controversial moment into a powerful example of reconciliation. By the end of the conversation, both seemed visibly lighter, as though a weight had finally lifted. To close the show, Kelly proposed a duet, a symbolic way to turn the page. This time, Adam smiled genuinely and agreed. They performed a soulful rendition of What Doesn't Kill You, Stronger, blending their voices in perfect harmony. The audience gave the standing ovation. There was laughter, applause, even a few tears. It was more than just a performance, it was healing through art. The moment went viral again, but this time for all the right reasons: grace, growth, and redemption. In the following days, media outlets praised both stars for their maturity and authenticity. Articles described the reunion as a masterclass in emotional intelligence. Fans called it the redemption duet. Even critics who had once fueled the drama admitted admiration for how gracefully both had handled their second chance. Kelly's show saw a surge in viewership, while Adam's sincerity earned him renewed respect across the music world. The clash that once divided now inspired millions. Later, Adam reflected on the experience in an interview, saying, "That moment taught me how emotion can cloud intention, but also how honesty can heal." Kelly, in a separate appearance, said, "We're all human. Sometimes things get messy, but that's where the lessons are." Their words echoed far beyond the entertainment industry, reminding people that vulnerability doesn't equal weakness, it's part of growth. Their story had transformed from a viral conflict into a narrative of redemption and resilience. Years later, the clip of Adam storming off Kelly's stage remains one of the most watched talk show moments on YouTube. But what makes it enduring isn't just the drama, it's the journey that followed, from confrontation to understanding, from tension to harmony. Both Adam Lambert and Kelly Clarkson showed that even the most public fallouts can lead to powerful healing. Their story stands as a testament to how truth, when faced with compassion, can evolve into something unforgettable.